A very good afternoon, everybody. Today, we are going to discuss about critical thinking and problem solving strategy. Thinking. What do we think? Thinking and the power to think is the only ability for all of us that makes us different from different species. Our thinking has become such that we even wish to settle on Mars. We are looking for lives in different universe. We are looking for different universe which are millions of light years away from us. This is what is thinking. What do we think? And critical thinking, that goes analytical thinking. When we are playing a chess game, what we are actually doing? We are planning up the strategies, and above us, in front of us, we have a large army. We have to protect ours. We are building up the strategies, keeping up the protection part. So that is what we start thinking from there. If you are a player of chess game, that means you know how to think. This is what is our ability to think, ability to empower something and proceed further. This is what is our talk. This, this critical thinking needs to be performed on problems so that we need to come up with a solution that sort out more than one problem. For example, if I ask a student to identify the faults in the education system, in an organization, in any system or setup, the younger generation, if I discuss, they will be identifying smaller problems. When they identify the smaller problems, that comes to the individuality. Now understand the logic. Being as a teacher, if I am asked to find the fault in the education system, the first thing I would like to highlight is the lack of resources. The second, proper utilization of resources. When we have proper utilizations of the current resource, that sort out many of the problems. We have to stop the wastage of resource. This is what is our second level of thinking. That means when we follow such instructions, many of the problems can be solved. Now proceeding further, if I go to the owner, the vice chancellor, the director of the university, of the education setup, to look into the system, they will be identifying a different problem. The level of the problems will be such that the solution to their problems will be solutions to many problems. This is what is the level of thinking. That is what is the criticality of thinking. How we critically think when we grow up. I'm talking about my personal life. It is the maturity of the life. It is the wisdom. What is wisdom? The more problem you deal in, the more wise you are. You can be younger to me, but you can be wiser than me. And I always feel our next generation is always smarter than me. And when I talk to my students, I always feel that you are smarter than me. And if you do not feel that, start believing this. Our previous generation has set up a goal, achievement. And now our next generation will be proceeding further. Today, we are trying to settle on Mars. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we are going to have plan up better thinking. This is what is our critical thinking. We need to identify the problem and then we need to think on it such that that solves many problems. We need to build up the strategy such that our resources are properly utilized. Wastage of resources has to be stopped. The individual responsibility can be highlighted. This comes up about the critical thinking and problem solving strategy. The art of thinking about your thinking while you are thinking in order to make your thinking better. This is what is critical thinking. This thinking depends upon various things, our responsibilities, our problems, what sort of problems we are handling. It depends upon the responsibilities, the wisdom, the way of thinking to a problem. If a small child is there, I have a small daughter, and somehow if she gets a cut in her hand and she sees the blood, she starts screaming. Otherwise, will you do the same thing? When you grow up, these things do not matter. So this is what is our way of seeing the system, seeing the problem. At what level we are seeing the problem? If I am the owner of the setup and I want to build up one of the most beautiful university, so I am going to check each and every setup very closely, very minutely, so that smaller problems should be sorted out. If I am going to build up a business, my thinking capacity should be such that the results should be higher. This is what how we analyze the problem. Our analytical way lets us think to a problem in a better way. That is the deal of life. It's not about a technology. It's not about computers now. It's about the critical thinking, the thinking how we sort out the problem of the society. How we are trying to sort out the problem of the society? By identifying the problem. Then we analyze our thinking, come up with a solution. That is what is the critical thinking. How we sharpen ourselves, how we sharpen our weapon of thinking. This is what we have. Our critical thinking depends upon various things. What are these things? When we talk about knowledge, knowledge is one of the most important factors and plays a major role in our thinking. Sorting out a problem, we should have enough knowledge. We should be enough deep into the system to find the solution, exact solution of this. Graphical way, when we proceed further, we need to analyze each and every result, each and every strategy. That is what is knowledge. It plays a major role in our critical thinking. The second parameter when we talk about next parameter, the first one which we discuss about is the knowledge. Recall of information. I am building a setup, I need to build up a database so that what are the things which are required or what are the things we did. We need to how the problems we dealt on. When we make the complete data set, defined database, the problem is solved to some extent, almost 80% of the, we can count on about 80%. If we have the full database completely fully well prepared. The knowledge of having the setup is very important. Now the next thing that we discuss about this understanding or comprehension. Understand can interpret the instructions and the problem, able to state a problem in one's own word. When we talk about these things, I would like to tell you, you might have so many problems in your life. Have you elaborated this to somebody? You will find very few of the thing, of the person who can understand your problem. This is what is the situation, the first stage of the problem solving. When we talk about the understanding and when we talk about the comprehension, that means we can just how we present our problem, how we analyze the problem. Talking about the applications, we need to understand whenever we think, we have to take care of the further steps, future scopes of our result, of our implementation. We need to take care of about the applications, what is these things useful for and who these things are helpful for. The goal of life and the strategy of life, that if you are not useful for me, you are nothing for me. But a strategy of application should be such that if it is not useful for something, it can be applicable for something. Tying up the different parameters, we can come up with the new parameters of the strategy. Analysis is one of the most important part. How we analyze the things. How finitely, how infinitely, and how minutely we understand the situation. To which level. Our analysis should be such that we need to reach the base of the problem. Our thinking should be such that when we are talking about a large organization, a country, a universe, about this, our thinking has gone such that we are working on different universe now. Our analysis strategies has to be very much minute. We need to start work from there. That is what is our analysis, which separates the material and the concepts into component parts. It distinguishes the facts and what was inferred. When we talk about the critical thinking, we need to analyze the output of that. Our thinking should be in all the different directions and coming up with a specific result oriented and future scopes. Our evaluation level should be such that we need to make the judgments about each and every values and ideas. We need to understand the value of each and every resource. Our evaluation strategy should be so minute. We need to come up with an effective solution. Our thinking strategies has to come up with the better results, analyzing the results. When we compare the different results, when we look to the system in different scenarios, when we evaluate the system differently, and how are the results affecting. How when we talk about the full whole, a graph, what we check about the graph. We need to consider about the points when we talk about the critical thinking. This is what is our strategies and the critical thinking. And these are the different parameters which affect the critical thinking. Our thinking cannot be based in or is not based in just one strategy. It is based on different parameters. Our born and brought up style, our environment. There are different exceptions, there are different parameters, there are different situations we need to consider. That is what is our thinking. We need to take up everybody as a whole. This is what should be our solution and coming up from the critical thinking. This is what we need to have a proper and finite set of results. Learning to think critically. When we talk about our thinking capacity, The most important thing is to learn how we think. Solving a problem is a small task, but knowing how to solve the problem is a better task. We need to learn how to sort out the problem. That means we are learning how to think critically. When we talk about such things, it is a long term development process. It cannot be developed in just one go. It is an aptitude thinking. When you join an organization in the beginning, most of the software company in the entrance examination they take aptitude test. In the aptitude test, they are going to give you 100 questions and all the 100 questions will be easier. The situation will be such that how you can manage the things. That is the aptitude, the way of thinking, the critically thinking. That is what is the aptitude thinking. And it is a long term development process. Dealing with different problems, just like when we talk about the quantitative aptitude. What we have train problems, we have speed problems, we have time problems, we have shift problems. So when we discuss about different problems, then we are actually dealing up things differently. We are making our understand when we are talking about a ship. When ship is crossing a river against the wind, so that means we are standing over there and calculating and manipulating, and it is a long term process, cannot be developed in just one go. This is what we have, must be practiced, nurtured, and reinforced over time. That is what is experience. If we sit at home, we will forget whatever we have learned. We need to keep on working, keep ourselves updated about the technologies revolving around the globe. The technologies which we are talking about right now will be just outdated 10 years back. 10 years back, PHP was one of the most important craze. Now it is gone. Still, it is up to the mark. The are developing. We are developing and we are changing, and this is the rule. Whatever we are going to discuss right now, after 10 years, they are going to take a different strategy, different scenario. The expert systems have been raised enough. We need to come up with the artificial and machine learning now. Let the machines, we are going to develop a machine which has thinking capacity. That is what we are the critical thinking. How the machine is able to judge the setup. We keep on practicing up. And it's an ongoing process. Learning to find a job is easier. Learning how to develop an organization and letting other people work in the organization, that is a solution. How we are bringing up the setup and at how level we are taking up. Nobody is a born genius. Practice is one of the most important part. Practice and practice and practice makes a man better. We need to learn how to practice. And the most important thing is the enjoyment. Try to get yourself involved, entertained in the work, in the responsibilities that you are handling. The way of life and work will be different. The blame is mine. The responsibility is mine. We come up, we grow up together, and we all are ours. That is what is the critical thinking. The solution should be such that our machine should be such that should be capable of handling the person who has got no knowledge about computers. We have to reach the people, each and every people, make the people comfortable, understand the strategies going on. We need to reach to the village and then to the village and then to the another village, sorting out the problems. And it's an ongoing process and one of the most entertaining part of the thinking of these things of the life, that when you are capable of thinking, that means you are raised higher. you are promoted. That is what is the critical thinking. A person can be a student throughout the lifetime. Learning is the most important factor of thinking.